For more on President Obama's Japan trip, we're joined by Susumu Awanohara. He's an expert on U.S.-Japan relations with Medley Global Advisors, which provides economic and political analysis to financial companies. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Talk a little bit about the challenges that Japan's new leadership faces. Are they purely economic?
Well, there's economic, there's a great challenge, there's a huge debt burden piled up, but they need to ensure growth. The new government wants to transform Japan from an economy that's basically driven by exports to one that's driven more by domestic demand, especially consumption, which is a great challenge. It's a good idea, actually, but how it's going to be done, I don't think they've figured out. And then there are a huge number of foreign policy questions, especially the relationship with the United States, which has been jolted a little bit.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that relationship. Do you think that it is evolving? What is the current status of it? The Japanese have stopped refueling American ships supporting the war effort in Afghanistan, but at the same time they've pledged $5 billion in new aid for humanitarian aid in Afghanistan. Do you think that Japan is sending mixed signals to the United States?
And it's a little bit reminiscent of the old checkbook diplomacy. We don't want to send people, get involved physically. We want to pay. So there's that unease, I think, among people who would like to see Japan more truly participate in these international operations. So that's one thing, and there's the base issue.
Of course, the base issue, the U.S. military bases in Okinawa. Help us understand why they have become such a sensitive issue in Japan.
Well, they have been a sensitive issue for decades. Part of it is that Okinawa, a small island group, bears a disproportionate burden of keeping the U.S. Forces in Japan. There's an element of history. Okinawa also suffered disproportionately in the war towards the end. And there's guilt feeling in the mainland towards Okinawa to impose that kind of burden. Yet, of course, nobody wants to bring the bases to their place. An agreement was already reached in 2006 to bring the helicopter base offshore a little bit and bring some of the Marines back to Guam. The agreement has been reached, but even the former government of Japan was very slow to implement it, and the new government wants to look at it, review it, which of course the US doesn't want to
Briefly, how do you see it being resolved?
My sense is that the former agreement will probably prevail, but given the nature of the Obama administration, they may compromise a little bit more.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the program.